Beauty was working in the school canteen to support herself and her sick mother. She cleaned tables, washed plates, and served food every day after class. The money she earned was small, but it helped her pay her school fees and also buy medicine for her mother. Beauty was a hard-working girl. Even though life was hard, she never gave up. She had just finished cleaning the tables that afternoon. The canteen was quiet, and most students had gone back to their hostels. Beauty was tired and hungry, so she served herself some leftover rice and beans. She sat in a corner and started eating quietly. As she ate, two rich girls walked into the canteen, Natasha and Tessie. They were both wearing expensive clothes and had shiny hair. Everyone in school knew them because their parents were rich. They always looked down on students who were poor. Natasha saw Beauty eating and laughed loudly. "Look at her," she said to Tessie. "The canteen cleaner is eating like she is a princess." Tessie also laughed. "Maybe she thinks she is one of us." Beauty kept her head down and continued eating. She didn't want trouble. But Natasha and Tessie walked over to her table. "Why are you sitting here?" Natasha asked. "Shouldn't you be standing and cleaning instead of eating?" "I finished my work," Beauty said quietly. "I'm just eating before I go home." Tessie looked at her from head to toe. Eating leftover food like a homeless person, so disgusting. Beauty's cheeks felt hot, but she kept calm. "Food is food," she said. "I'm thankful for it." Natasha rolled her eyes. "Look at her trying to sound wise. Do you even own more than one dress? You look like you have been wearing the same clothes for years." Teddy leaned closer and whispered, loud enough for others to hear, "No wonder no one wants to sit with her. She smells like soap water." The laughter in the canteen grew louder. Beauty's hands trembled on her spoon. She wanted to cry, but she remembered her mother's words. "Never let people's insults make you feel small. You are still you." Natasha suddenly grabbed Beauty's plastic cup of water. "Let's give her a free bath," she said, lifting it over Beauty's head. Before the water could pour, a deep voice spoke from behind them. "Is there a problem here?" Everyone turned. Standing there was Prince Daniel, the only son of King Edward. He was tall, handsome, and dressed simply, but everyone knew who he was. The whole canteen went silent. Natasha quickly lowered the cup, pretending to smile. "Oh, no problem, Your Highness. We were just talking to her." Daniel's eyes moved to Beauty, then back to the two girls. It didn't sound like talking, it sounded like bullying. Natasha's smile froze. Tessie looked at the floor. Daniel pulled out a chair and sat beside Beauty. "I hope you don't mind me sitting here," he said. Beauty blinked in surprise. "No, it's fine." Daniel turned to the bullies. "You know, in my palace, we are taught to respect people who work hard. You should try it sometime." Natasha's face turned red. "We didn't mean any harm." "Then walk away," Daniel said firmly. The two girls exchanged glances and left the canteen without another word. Beauty sat still, unsure what to say. No one had ever defended her like that before. Daniel looked at her and smiled slightly. "I need to talk to you about something important," he said. "It might sound strange, but I want you to be my girlfriend. My fake girlfriend." Beauty was shocked. "What? Why?" Daniel leaned closer. "Because I have a problem, and you're the only one who can help me." Beauty stared at Prince Daniel, not sure if she had heard him well. "You want me to be your fake girlfriend?" she asked slowly. Daniel nodded. "Yes." Beauty shook her head. "That doesn't make sense." "Why me? I'm just a poor student working in the canteen. You could choose any rich and beautiful girl in this school." "That's exactly why I'm choosing you," Daniel said. "I don't trust the girls here. Most of them only care about my title and my family's money. They would say yes because I'm the prince, not because they truly care." Beauty frowned. "But you're asking me to pretend. That's not real either." Daniel leaned closer so only she could hear. "My father wants me to marry a rich girl from another royal family. He has already arranged a meeting with her next month. I don't want that marriage. If I show my father that I'm already in a serious relationship, he will stop pushing me into it. But it has to look real. That's why I need someone who won't use me, someone I can trust to help me for a short time. I'll make sure you are paid well for it." Beauty's eyes widened. "Paid? How much are we talking about?" Daniel pulled out a small notepad and wrote a number. When Beauty saw it, her heart skipped a beat. It was more than enough to pay her school fees for the year and cover her mother's medical bills. "That's too much," she said softly. "It's not too much for my freedom," Daniel replied, "and I can see you need it. I heard what Natasha and Tessie said to you. I know you work hard here. I'm offering you this as a job, not charity." Beauty looked down at her food. The money could change everything. Her mother could get the treatment she needed. She wouldn't have to worry about dropping out of school. But the idea of pretending to be a prince's girlfriend scared her. People would talk. Natasha and Tessie would hate her even more. "What would I have to do?" she asked finally. "Nothing crazy," Daniel said. "Just spend time with me in public, hold my hand, sit with me at events, maybe go out for dinner. I'll send a driver to pick you up whenever we need to be seen together. The rest of the time, you can live your normal life. And what happens if someone finds out it's fake?" Daniel's expression turned serious. "No one will. I'll make sure of that. And when it's over, you'll be free, and no one can say anything." Beauty took a deep breath. She thought of her mother lying in bed at home. She thought of the bills on her table. She thought of how hard she had been working, yet still struggling. "Okay," she said slowly. "I'll do it." Daniel smiled for the first time since he sat down. "Good, but we need to make it believable. Tomorrow I'll pick you up from your hostel, and we'll go to the library together. Everyone will see us. The news will spread fast." Beauty's stomach felt tight. "This is going to cause trouble, isn't it?" "Probably," Daniel said, smiling a little more. "But I'll be right there with you." As he stood to leave, Natasha and Tessie, who had been watching from the far end of the canteen, whispered to each other angrily. Tessie's eyes narrowed. "Did you see that? She's sitting with the prince. There's no way she'll get away with this." Natasha smirked. "Let's wait and see how long she lasts. I'm going to make her regret it." The next morning, Beauty woke up earlier than usual. She wore her best dress, a simple blue gown she had bought second-hand. Today was the day she would appear in public with Prince Daniel. At exactly 9 a.m., a shiny black car stopped in front of her hostel. Daniel stepped out. His smile was calm, but his eyes told her, "We're about to cause a scene." "Ready?" he asked. Beauty nodded nervously. "I guess so." They got into the car and drove to the university. When they entered the main gate, students began whispering. Some pointed. Some took out their phones. Daniel didn't seem bothered. "Is that the canteen girl?" someone whispered. "Yes. What is she doing with the prince?" another asked. Daniel took Beauty's hand and walked with her into the library. His grip was firm, making it clear to everyone, "This is my girl." In the corner, Natasha was standing with Tessie. Natasha's face was dark with anger. "The handsome prince is supposed to be mine," she said through clenched teeth. "I must do everything within me to spoil this stupid relationship." Tessie smirked. "Don't worry, Natasha. We'll make sure she falls hard." In the evening, Daniel told her, "There's one more thing. I want you to meet my parents." Beauty froze. "Your parents? As in, the king and queen?" Daniel smiled. "Yes. If they see us together, it will make the relationship more believable. Don't worry, my father is kind." 2 days later, Beauty found herself standing in front of the royal palace. Daniel led her inside to the throne room. King Edward sat on a high chair. Beside him was Queen Catherine, her face calm but unreadable. "Father, Mother," Daniel began, "this is Beauty. She's the one I've been telling you about." The king's eyes warmed immediately. "Welcome, my dear," he said with a smile. "Daniel told me about you." "Thank you, Your Majesty," Beauty replied softly, bowing her head. But the Queen's expression did not change. She looked Beauty from head to toe, her eyes sharp. "So, you are the girl Daniel chose," she said slowly. "Tell me, what do your parents do?" Beauty opened her mouth to answer, but before she could speak, Daniel quickly cut in. "Mother, she is a princess. From a faraway land," he said smoothly. "Her family prefers to live quietly, away from public attention." The Queen's eyes narrowed. "A princess." She glanced at Beauty's simple dress. "And she is dressed like this?" Daniel smiled as if it was nothing. "She likes to live humbly. She doesn't care about expensive clothing or showing off. That's one of the things I love about her." The king chuckled. That's rare these days. A princess who values simplicity, I like that. But the queen wasn't convinced. In my time, princesses dressed like royalty, even in their simplest moments. This girl looks ordinary. Her gaze swept Beauty from head to toe. Beauty's palms were sweating. She felt like the queen's words were slicing into her skin. She wanted to tell the truth, but Daniel's hand gently squeezed hers. A silent message. Don't say anything. Daniel kept smiling. Mother, sometimes the most extraordinary people look ordinary to the world. Beauty is more than her clothes. The king nodded. I agree, you should judge her by her character, not her dress. The queen leaned back in her chair, her eyes still cold. We'll see. Time reveals all truths. When they finally left the palace, Beauty let out a long breath. Why did you lie to her? She asked as soon as they were alone in the car. Because I knew she would look down on you if she heard you work in the canteen, Daniel replied. This way, she'll respect you until she gets to know you for who you are. Beauty sighed. But lies don't last forever. I know, Daniel said quietly, but right now it gives us time, and I promise I'll protect you when the truth comes out. Beauty didn't reply. She wasn't sure which scared her more, the queen's suspicion or the day this lie would be exposed. Meanwhile, back at the university, Natasha was fuming after seeing pictures of Beauty and Daniel at the palace circulating online. A princess from a faraway land? Please, I know a canteen cleaner when I see one. I will find a way to get to the queen. I must scatter their fake relationship. Prince Daniel was sitting alone in the university library, reading a thick history book. The room was quiet. He was enjoying the peace until a shadow fell across his table. He looked up and saw Natasha standing there. She gave him a slow smile. So, you are really having an affair with that poor, dirty girl, or are you both just faking it? Daniel's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? Natasha leaned forward. Don't play dumb. You leave someone beautiful, classy, and influential like me for her? Can't you see we fit each other perfectly? I've had my eyes on you for a long time, Daniel, but you never looked at me. And now you are in love with a cleaner. She shook her head in disbelief. Daniel frowned. Natasha, no, listen to me, she cut in, her voice sharp. It's an abomination for a prince like you to be seen with a public toilet like her. Daniel's face hardened. Watch your mouth. But Natasha wasn't done. I mean, who doesn't know her story? Almost all the students and even some lecturers have had a thing to do with her. She's unintelligent, she buys her way through school, Enough. Daniel's voice was low but full of fire. He stood up slowly, towering over her. You think because you have money and wear expensive clothes that you are better than her? Beauty works for everything she has. She is honest, decent, and kinder than you will ever be. You, Natasha, are the real disgrace here. Natasha's face went pale, but her pride kept her mouth moving. I'm only telling you the truth. You'll regret this when everyone laughs at you for choosing her. Daniel leaned closer. The only thing I regret is wasting my time listening to your poison. Stay away from her, and stay away from me. He picked up his book, turned, and walked out of the library without looking back. Natasha sat frozen in her chair, her face burning with humiliation. A week later, Prince Daniel invited Beauty to join him at his father's conference room. The king was hosting a business meeting with several important investors from around the world. I don't know if I should go, Beauty said nervously that morning. What if I embarrass you? Daniel smiled. You won't. I want you there. Besides, you have a way of surprising people. When they arrived at the palace conference hall, the place was filled with men and women in suits, talking in low voices. The king sat at the head, with Daniel beside him. Beauty sat quietly near Daniel, listening. The meeting went smoothly until one investor raised a complicated problem about a project. It was about how to reduce waste and cut costs without losing quality. Everyone in the room began talking, but no one could find a solution. The king looked disappointed. This is a major concern. Without a solution, we may lose this contract. Beauty's heart pounded. She had learned about this in one of her classes. She hesitated, then slowly stood up. Your Majesty, she said softly, may I speak? All eyes turned to her. Some looked surprised, others doubtful. The king nodded. "Go ahead, my dear." Beauty explained a simple but effective idea, using leftover materials for secondary production, partnering with local suppliers to reduce transport costs, and training workers to handle resources more efficiently. She spoke clearly, giving real examples from her small job that could be applied on a larger scale. When she finished, the room was silent for a moment, then one of the investors smiled. "That could actually work." Another nodded. "It's simple, practical, and cost-effective. I think we've found our solution." The king's face lit up. "Excellent, Beauty." The investors agreed to the proposal, and the contract was signed in favor of Prince Daniel's kingdom. After the meeting, the king walked over to Beauty and held her hands. "From today, my respect for you has grown even more. You are wise beyond your years." But across the hall, Queen Catherine watched in silence, her lips pressed into a thin line. That night, in her private chamber, the queen said to herself, "She is clever, yes, but I still don't believe her story. She doesn't look wealthy or royal. I must find out who she really is." The next day, at the palace gate, Natasha arrived. She walked up to the guards. "I need to see the queen," she said. "It's something urgent, and it's about Beauty, Prince Daniel's fake girlfriend." The guards exchanged glances. One of them went inside to inform the queen. Moments later, he returned. "Her Majesty says you may come in." Natasha smiled smugly and followed him into the palace. When she entered the queen's private sitting room, she bowed slightly. "Good afternoon, my queen." The queen looked at her with curiosity. "You said it's urgent. What is it you know about this girl, Beauty?" Natasha's smile grew colder. "Your Majesty, she is not who she says she is. She is not a princess. She's a poor student who works in the school canteen to pay her fees. I can even give you her mother's address if you don't mind, my queen." The queen's eyes narrowed. "Are you certain?" "Very certain," Natasha replied confidently. "Almost the whole school knows her story. I can take you to the truth whenever you are ready." The queen sat back in her chair, a slow smile forming. "Then perhaps, Natasha, you and I have something in common after all." Natasha's heart raced with satisfaction. The trap for Beauty was beginning to close, and Beauty had no idea it was coming. Later that evening, Prince Daniel sat with Beauty in the palace garden. The sun was setting, painting the sky with orange and pink colors. He took her hand gently and looked into her eyes. "Beauty, I need to tell you something from my heart. When we started this, it was never part of my plan to fall for you. At first, it was just an agreement, something to help me escape my father's arrangement. But now everything has changed. I am not myself anymore. You have taken over my mind. I think about you all the time. I truly love you." Beauty's heart was beating fast. She held his hand tighter and smiled shyly. "I feel the same way. The first day we met in the canteen, I felt something I could not explain. I have never told anyone this, but I started loving you from that moment. You defended me when no one else would." She paused and looked down. "But your mother, she does not like me. I can see it in her eyes." Daniel sighed deeply. "Don't worry about my mother. I will talk to her. You have no issue so long as my father likes you. We are good for now. The king's support is very important in this family." Beauty nodded slowly. She trusted Daniel, but in her heart, she still felt the weight of the queen's cold gaze. The next morning, while Daniel was busy with some royal duties, the queen decided to act on Natasha's information. She dressed simply so she would not attract too much attention, and she left the palace with one of her trusted guards. They drove quietly through the city until they reached a small street. The houses here were old and simple, a clear sign of a poor neighborhood. The queen's guard pointed to a small house. "Your Majesty, this is the address the lady gave us." The queen stepped out and walked to the door. She knocked sharply. After a few seconds, a tired-looking woman opened the door. It was Grace, Beauty's mother. She looked surprised to see a stranger so well-dressed standing in front of her home. "Yes, good morning. Can I help you?" Grace asked politely. The queen's eyes scanned the small living room visible behind the open door. "So you are Beauty's mother?" Grace hesitated. "Yes, I am." The queen's voice turned cold. "Then you need to listen carefully. I am Queen Catherine, mother of Prince Daniel. I know your daughter has been lying about who she is. She is pretending to be a princess from a faraway land, but the truth is she is nothing more than a poor cleaner working in a school canteen. Grace's face went pale. My queen, The queen raised her hand to stop her. I am not here to argue. I am here to warn you. Tell your daughter to stay away from my son. She is not fit to be part of our royal family. We have a reputation to protect, and I will not have my son's name dragged through the mud because of a poor girl pretending to be something she is not. Grace's hands shook. My queen, my daughter has done nothing wrong. She is a good girl. She works hard for her education. She is lying, the queen interrupted sharply, and I will not tolerate it. You know how this world works. Princes marry into wealth, power, and royal bloodlines, not into poverty. If you love your daughter, tell her to end whatever she has with Daniel before I end it for her in a way she will never forget. Grace's eyes were filled with tears now. She had never been spoken to this way before, but she was too scared to respond with anger. This was the queen, the most powerful woman in the kingdom. I promise, Grace said softly. I will tell her to stay away from your family. The queen gave a small, satisfied smile. Good. Make sure you keep your word. She turned and walked back to the car, leaving Grace standing at the door, her hands trembling. When the queen left, Grace sat on the edge of her bed and cried quietly. She thought of all the sacrifices Beauty had made, working in the canteen, studying late at night, paying for her medicine. She knew Beauty loved the prince, but she also feared the power of the palace. She decided that when Beauty came home next, she would tell her it was over. She would rather see her daughter heartbroken than destroyed by the queen's wrath. Beauty came home that evening, still smiling from the sweet moment she had shared with Daniel the night before. But the smile faded as soon as she stepped inside. Her mother, Grace, was sitting on the bed with a troubled face. "Mom, what's wrong?" Beauty asked. Grace looked at her daughter and her eyes filled with tears. "Beauty, we are leaving tomorrow morning. We are going to the village." Beauty was confused. "What? Why?" "My classes, my exams are coming up." Grace shook her head quickly. "I don't want any problem with the royal family. I heard the queen is very dangerous. Please, my daughter, I don't want us to rot in jail or worse." Her voice broke on the last word. Beauty froze. "Mother, what are you talking about? Did something happen?" Grace took a deep breath and told her everything. How the queen had come to their house that morning. How she insulted her. How she warned her to make Beauty leave Daniel or she would destroy her. Beauty's eyes widened as her mother spoke. She felt her chest tighten, a mix of anger, hurt, and disbelief. "She came here? She said all that to you?" Grace nodded. "She said you are not fit for her son, that you are lying about being a princess. She called you a poor cleaner. She looked at me like I was dirt under her shoes. And she said if I don't make you leave, she will end things in a way we will never forget." Beauty's fists clenched. "But mother, what have we done wrong? Is it a crime to be poor? Is it a crime for the prince to love me?" Grace's lips trembled. "No, my child, but the truth is, the world is not fair. People with power and money sometimes think they can decide who is worthy of love. I know it's not right, but I don't have the strength to fight them. You know my health. I have BP. Do you want me to die before my time?" Beauty's eyes filled with tears. "No, Mom, don't say that." Grace took her hands. "Listen to me, Beauty. I want you to live. I want you to have a future. But I also want to be alive to see it. The Queen is not someone to joke with. If she wants to ruin us, she can. School can wait. Your dreams can wait. But my life, it cannot wait. Please, my daughter, if you love me, come with me to the village. Leave this place. Leave the prince." Beauty's heart was torn apart. She loved Daniel, but she could see the fear in her mother's eyes. Grace had suffered so much already. She couldn't bear to be the reason her mother's blood pressure rose again. That night, Beauty sat alone in the small kitchen, staring at her phone. Her hand shook as she dialed Daniel's number. When he answered, his voice was warm. "Hey, my Beauty, I've missed you. Are you okay?" Her throat felt tight. "Daniel, it's over." He went silent for a second. "What do you mean it's over? What's going on?" I'm gone, she said quickly. Please don't look for me. Beauty, wait, tell me. But before he could ask more questions, she hung up. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She switched off her phone, placed it on the table. She whispered to herself, I'm sorry, Daniel. I'm so sorry. Daniel immediately grabbed his car keys and rushed toward the palace gate. But before he could drive out, 2 royal guards blocked the way. Your Highness, sir, you can't go out, one of them said firmly. Daniel's eyes flashed. Move out of my way. The other guard shook his head. Please, sir, remember how you almost got kidnapped a few months ago when you went out with a friend at night. We have strict orders from the king. No late-night outings without security clearance. Daniel clenched his fists, his chest rising and falling with frustration. This is important. Sir, we understand, the first guard said respectfully, but we can't break the rules. It's for your safety. Daniel turned away angrily, his heart pounding. He knew he would have to wait until morning, but every second felt like an hour. The next morning, Daniel decided to drive to her house. When he got there, the house was locked, and the window curtains were gone. He knocked on the door of the neighbor. Excuse me, he said. Do you know where Beauty and her mother went? The neighbor shrugged. They have packed out. I don't know where they went to. They left early this morning. Daniel's jaw tightened. Packed out? Without telling me? He could feel anger rising in his chest, but it was not anger at Beauty. It was anger at whoever had driven her away. And deep inside, he had a strong guess who it was. He got back into his car and drove straight to the palace. He parked with force, walked quickly through the hallways, and found his mother in the royal sitting room. Mother, he said sharply. She looked up calmly. Daniel, you look upset. Is something wrong? They're gone. Beauty and her mother. Do you know anything about that? The Queen frowned. You should be happy they are gone. That poor liar had no business being with you. Daniel's fists clenched. I told you before, I was the one who lied about her being a princess, not her. She never pretended to be something she's not. You're blind, Daniel, the Queen said coolly. You refuse to see what's right in front of you. That girl will bring shame to this family. Can't you see Natasha loves you? Her parents are wealthy. She is classy. She is beautiful. She is the kind of woman who belongs here. Daniel took a step closer. Mother, you are unbelievable. You talk about class, but you don't see that true class comes from the heart, not the bank account. Beauty has more dignity than Natasha will ever have. And if you think I'm going to replace her with someone just because she has money, then you don't know me at all. The Queen's eyes hardened. You are making a mistake, Daniel. He pointed at her, his voice rising. No, you are making the mistake. You have 24 hours to give me back my woman, or you will regret this. The Queen raised her chin. Is that a threat? It's a promise, Daniel said coldly. He turned and stormed out of the room, his footsteps echoing through the palace halls. The next day, Daniel went to school earlier than usual. He wasn't there for classes or meetings. He was there because he hoped, no, he prayed, that someone would tell him where Beauty had gone. The morning air was cool, and the school garden was almost empty. Why did she leave? He asked himself again. Why didn't she tell me to my face? Why hang up like that? Daniel clenched his jaw. They think they can just take her away from me? They think I'll just move on like nothing happened? He shook his head. I'll find her. He was still deep in thought when he heard the sound of high heels clicking on the stone path. He looked up and saw Natasha walking toward him. She smiled like she had been waiting for this moment. Well, well, she said, stopping in front of him. Prince Daniel, sitting here all alone. Still thinking about that poor girl. Daniel sat back on the bench, his expression calm but cold. Natasha, I'm not in the mood. She ignored his tone and sat down beside him without asking. You see, I told you that girl doesn't love you. She's spoilt. She ran away with another man. I've been hearing things. People say she and her mother are trouble. Evil even. You should thank me for saving you from her. Daniel turned his head slowly to look at her. Saving me? Yes, Natasha said, smiling sweetly. You need a woman who matches your status, Daniel. Someone classy, someone influential. Can't you see me here? Look how beautiful I am. I've had feelings for you for a long time, but you've been wasting your time with her. Give us a chance, Daniel. You and I, we fit each other. Everyone says so. Daniel's eyes darkened. Everyone? Or just you? Natasha laughed softly. Oh, come on. You know it's true. Beauty is gone now. It's time you stopped dreaming and started seeing what's in front of you. Daniel sat up straight, his voice low but sharp. Natasha, you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I do, she insisted, leaning closer. She used you. She pretended to be something she's not. You deserve better. Better. Daniel's voice was calm, but his eyes were fire. Better, in your mind, means rich clothes and fake smiles. In my mind, better means honesty, kindness, loyalty. Beauty has all of that. You have none. Natasha's smile faltered. You're only saying that because you don't know the truth. She's a liar, Daniel. I've heard stories. Almost the whole school knows she's been with other men, even some lecturers. She's unintelligent. She buys her way through school. You're lucky she left before she embarrassed you in public. Daniel became more angry. His voice dropped to a dangerous tone. Listen to me, Natasha. If my woman is not found by tomorrow, you will regret ever giving my mother Beauty's home address. You will regret coming between us. Natasha blinked, surprised. What are you talking about? He stepped closer. You daughter of a low-life politician, stay away from me forever. You illiterate who can't even spell her own father's name. Don't ever speak to me again. Her face turned red, partly from embarrassment and partly from anger. How dare you talk to me like that? Daniel didn't answer. He simply walked past her, Natasha jaw tight. She wanted to shout after him, to tell him he'd regret insulting her, but the words stuck in her throat. For the first time she realized that no matter what she said, Daniel's heart was not hers, and maybe it never would be. The next day at school, Daniel arrived earlier than usual. He walked slowly toward the school gate, his mind still full of Beauty. He didn't know where to start looking. At the gate, one of the security men stood in his uniform, leaning on the wall. Daniel greeted him politely and without thinking twice, slipped some money into his hand. Get yourself something to eat, Daniel said. The man looked surprised. Thank you, sir. You're a good person. Not every prince will greet us or even look at us, but you always do. Daniel gave a small smile. I believe everyone deserves respect. The man hesitated for a moment, then leaned closer and lowered his voice. Sir, I think I can help you. I know you've been looking for Beauty. Daniel's eyes sharpened. Yes. Do you know where she went? I think she went to her village with her mother, the man replied. I know the place. I used to work around there before I came here. Daniel stepped closer. Tell me everything you remember. The man described it clearly, the long road after the old bridge, the big mango tree at the entrance, and the narrow dusty path that led into a small cluster of houses. Daniel memorized every detail. Thank you. You've helped me more than you know. The security man nodded. Go and bring her back, sir. She's a good girl. I could see the way you looked at her. That kind of thing is rare. Daniel gave him a firm handshake. I will. And when I do, I'll make sure everyone knows I'm grateful for what you've just told me. Daniel followed the security man's directions exactly. And then he saw her. Beauty was sitting outside a small mud brick house. She looked deep in thought, staring at the ground. The moment Daniel stopped the car and stepped out, she looked up, her eyes widened. Daniel? He smiled faintly, his chest rising and falling. Beauty. She stood quickly, her face showing both shock and happiness. Without thinking twice, she ran to him. When they reached each other, they wrapped their arms around each other tightly. Daniel held her like he was afraid she might disappear again. Beauty buried her face in his chest, feeling the warmth and safety she had missed. I missed you, Daniel said softly, his voice full of emotion. I missed you too, Beauty whispered. I didn't want to leave, but... Daniel pulled back slightly, looking into her eyes. I know. My mother came to you, didn't she? Beauty's eyes filled with tears, and she nodded. She came. She said terrible things. She said we should stay away from you. I didn't want to cause you trouble. Daniel cupped her face gently. No one, not even the Queen, can keep me away from you. I'm here now, and I'm not leaving without you. Beauty's lips trembled, but she smiled through her tears. Are you sure? This could make things worse. Daniel's voice was steady. Let them be worse. I don't care. I'm not marrying them. I'm marrying you." She gave a small, shaky laugh and leaned into his chest again. Daniel closed his eyes and held her even tighter, knowing that no matter what storm waited for them, they had found each other again. Back in the palace, the queen paced the length of her sitting room, her phone in her hand. She had been calling Daniel since morning, but every time she tried, the call failed. His number was not going through. Finally, she hurried to the king's private study. "My husband," she said quickly, "I can't reach Daniel. His phone is not going through. I've been trying since morning. I'm worried. I don't want to lose my only child." The king looked up. "Now you're worried?" The queen blinked. "Of course I'm worried. He's my son." The king became so angry. "He is your son, but you are the one who caused all this trouble. That innocent girl and her mother did nothing wrong to you, nothing. Yet you went to their house, insulted them and drove them away. And now my son is gone after her. Tell me, what were you thinking?" The queen swallowed hard, her pride struggling against the shame in her heart. I thought I was protecting him. I thought she wasn't right for him." "Protecting him," the king repeated, "by breaking his heart. By disrespecting a girl who has shown nothing but dignity and intelligence. She saved an important business deal for this kingdom, and you repay her by chasing her away." The queen's eyes dropped to the floor. I realize now I was wrong. I was blinded by status and appearances. I didn't see her true worth. She is a good girl, and she makes our son happy. I'm sorry." The king's face was stern. "Sorry will not bring him back. You better pray he is safe. You better find my son for me." She looked up at him. "I am willing to accept Beauty as my daughter-in-law now. I'll welcome her. I'll do whatever it takes." The king stepped closer. "Then you had better mean it. Because if anything happens to my son because of your pride, you will carry that guilt for the rest of your life." The queen nodded quickly. "I mean it. I'll make things right. Just let him come home safely." The king picked up his phone and began making calls to his personal security team. "Find the prince," he ordered. "Search everywhere. Bring him back to the palace immediately." The queen stood silently, her heart pounding. For the first time, she truly feared losing her son, not to danger, but to her own mistakes. What she didn't know was that, at that very moment, Daniel had already found Beauty in her village and was preparing to bring her back. That evening, the palace gates opened and a black car drove in. The queen, who had been waiting restlessly in the sitting room, stood up quickly when she heard the sound. The doors opened, and there he was, Prince Daniel, holding Beauty's hand as they stepped out together. The king came forward with a big smile. "Welcome home, my son." The queen's eyes softened when she saw them. She walked slowly toward Beauty. "My child," she began, her voice gentle. "I'm sorry. I was wrong to treat you the way I did. I let my pride blind me. Please forgive me." Beauty looked at Daniel, then back at the queen. She smiled faintly. "I forgive you, Your Majesty." Daniel nodded in approval. "Good. Because from now on, we are one family." A month later, the royal palace was filled with joy and music as Prince Daniel and Beauty got married. The ceremony was grand, but the love between them was simple and real. As for the kind school security man who had told Daniel where to find Beauty, the prince rewarded him generously. He was given a large sum of money, a new house, and a position as part of the royal security team. "Without you," Daniel told him, "I might never have found her." And Natasha. Life took a different turn for her. She met a man who pretended to be wealthy. He wore expensive clothes, drove flashy cars, and spoke like he owned half the city. Believing him, she started a relationship. Months later, when she became pregnant, she discovered the truth. The cars were borrowed, the clothes were rented, and the man was nothing more than a poor farmer trying to live a fake life. Natasha's pride crumbled. She thought about the times she had looked down on others, and regret filled her heart. But by then, it was too late. Meanwhile, Daniel and Beauty lived happily, never forgetting the trials they had faced, and proving to everyone that true love could survive anything. Dear viewers, what lessons did you take away from this dramatic tale? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up, share it with friends, and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest updates. Thanks for watching and stay blessed.